They use me on air on Ellen sometimes, but I've only ever been recognized in public once, and it really let me know like where I fall on the fame scale. Because I was out at a bar and this girl comes up to me and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I've seen you on Ellen, can I get a picture with you?" So I said, "Sure," and she handed me her phone and I tried to get a selfie of us, but nothing happened. And I said, "Oh, it says your memory is full, you'll have to delete a picture to make room." She takes her phone and she goes, nah. Puts in her purse and walks away. The kind of star power you're dealing with at Politicon. I think it's weird though that women carry an entire purse with them everywhere they go, and like all guys have is a wallet. Like, why do women need something 10 times bigger to carry 30% less money? Oh, relax, it's a joke. The gender wage myth is a joke. It's been debunked over and over. Yeah, a little mixed crowd here, fighting against each other. The feminists do it, I think. Like, feminism was a big thing this summer. Like, everybody loved the Wonder Woman movie because it was a feminist movie. Did you guys see Wonder Woman? I enjoyed the movie. It was like, oh, it's a feminist movie. It's got a feminist director and a feminist story and a feminist hero. And then as soon as the credits roll, the first thing that comes up is produced by Steve Mnuchin, who is Donald Trump's Secretary of Treasury. You can't be like, oh, we made a feminist movie. How'd you do that? We borrowed money from a rich old Republican man. And then he used the profits to marry his trophy wife. You wooing Steve Mnuchin or trophy wives? Just all of the above. They say the economy is getting better now though. Like, there's any good news out there. Like it started at the end of the Obama administration, like the unemployment rate is going down, people are getting back to work in this country, which sounds like a good thing at first, but as far as I can tell, it's just because everyone became an Uber driver. Like, the government always wants you to think this country is creating jobs, but it's not. This country created one job, which is Uber driver, and then we all signed up for it. So now our entire economy is based on the fact that we take turns giving each other a ride to the airport in exchange for the same $30. Because everyone now, no matter what they dream of doing, their fallback plan is to become an Uber driver. Which is weird because when I was in philosophy class studying Nietzsche, they taught us that an Uberman was someone who could accomplish anything. But now in the real world, it turns out an Uberman is someone who's failed at everything. Probably majored in philosophy. Uber's getting so popular, it's putting taxi drivers out of business, which makes it like the only industry where entitled white millennials are taking jobs from honest, hardworking, illegal immigrants. But everybody Ubers now, like nobody drives themselves, and instead of walking, people started getting those hoverboards, which kind of amazes me because when I was growing up, the movie Back to the Future predicted that we would have hoverboards now, and they were right. What they didn't predict is that America would get so fat that hoverboards can't hover. Just roll and then burst into flames. Like, America got so fat that we have a diabetes epidemic. Even Tom Hanks got diabetes after he gained weight to play Captain Phillips. And I feel bad for him, but who I really feel bad for is the real Captain Phillips. That means he was so fat he gave someone else diabetes. No one has ever been that fat before. No wonder those starving African pirates hated him. Do you guys know that in Africa they put the country with the whitest name right next to the country with the blackest name? There's a country whose name is spelled Niger. Then right next to it is a country named Chad. I'll be careful with that one, not to go into Bill Maher territory. I saw a pro-life billboard the other day. It said babies get hiccups even before they're born. Which is true, and I do not support abortion, but I bet a visit to the clinic would scare those hiccups away. I think if it's a pro-life joke that offends pro-life people, just alienates all of you. No, and I'm pro-life because I'm pretty conservative and religious. Like, I know religion's on the decline in this country, but I hear stories all the time that reaffirm my faith in God. Like, I heard about this bus driver who got mugged and they shot him, but his life was saved because the bullets were stopped by a Bible in his pocket. I mean, that is a miracle. That God blessed that man with ridiculous Bible-sized pockets. I'm a Republican. I know people in LA hate Republicans. They call us bigots all the time, which doesn't even make sense anymore. Like, we have one of the most diverse primaries in U.S. history. Like, how can they still say Republicans are racist when one of our candidates was African American? And how can they still say Republicans are sexist when one of our candidates was a woman? And how can they still say Republicans hate immigrants when two of our candidates were raised by immigrants? It's just unfortunate that they were all beat by a racist sexist who hates immigrants. I did not vote for Trump. It's a mixed bag. I don't hate Trump as much as some of you do. I also don't love Trump as much as some of you do. Like, I didn't vote for him, but I'll be honest. As a comedian, I am glad Donald Trump won. And it's not because he's easy to write jokes about. He's actually not. As a comedian, I am glad Donald Trump won because now the rest of America knows what stand-up comedy contests feel like. Because the truth is, the person who spends years developing smart material and really deserves to win never walks away with the prize. Because the crowd always votes for some new guy who yells dumb, hacky things as loud as he can. Like, I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. I don't like her, but I can sympathize with her. I know what she's going through right now. Because as a comedian, I too have lost big career opportunities to people who just talk about Mexican stereotypes and imitate retarded people. Like, Trump is basically the first celebrity to steal Carlos Mencia's act. I guess when it comes to the Democratic candidates, I did like Bernie more than Hillary. Because like at least, I don't agree with his politics, but at least he seemed like honest and sincere, whereas Hillary will say whatever she has to get elected. Like, Hillary literally changed her mind on gay marriage 3 years ago, whereas Bernie has always wanted gay couples to get together. I mean, his first name is even a combination of Bert and Ernie. I get why Trump won. Like he never really had like a clear plan for anything. People just like to vote for him because they're tired of political correctness. And like I was saying, like I get that. Like, political correctness is out of control in this country. Like, it works its way into every conversation. Like, the other day I was talking with a friend about Stephen Hawking. You guys all know who he is? I thought everybody likes Stephen Hawking. And my friend goes, "Oh, I don't like him. He's a known anti-Semite." And I had never heard this before, but I went home and I looked it up, and it's true. A lot of Jewish people think some things Stephen Hawking has said are anti-Semitic, which is confusing to me because now I don't know which disenfranchised group I have to side with. Like, Jewish people or disabled people. Because don't get me wrong, it's horrible if Stephen Hawking is an anti-Semite, but it's great that he overcame incredible odds to become an anti-Semite. But people are so obsessed with political correctness nowadays, like they'll say things they don't even really believe just so they can sound politically correct. Like all these people who said they think Caitlyn Jenner is beautiful. Now, I don't think we should be mean to Caitlyn Jenner, but no one should have ever started saying Caitlyn Jenner is beautiful because no one actually believes that. If you want to hear your liberal friends change their tune real quick, the next time one of them says Caitlyn Jenner is beautiful, just say you're right. And now that you mention it, you know who you look like. This is never a compliment to tell someone they look like Caitlyn Jenner. But all the transgender issues are very, it's like a hot topic right now. Everybody's arguing over it. It's like the controversial issue of the moment. People are arguing over transgender bathrooms, like whether transgender people should have to use the bathroom that matches their biological sex or the bathroom that matches their gender identity. And both sides are upset because they don't want to have to use a public bathroom with someone who makes them uncomfortable. Which makes perfect sense, unless you've ever used a public bathroom. There's always someone who makes you uncomfortable. There's always like a stranger who wants to talk while you're peeing, or there's a homeless person using the sink as a shower, or somebody makes eye contact through that gap in the stall door. Or there's a kid who's pushing 12 but still pulls his pants all the way down to pee. Like, using a public bathroom and being totally comfortable is not a real experience that any of us have ever had. But that's what they're fighting over. Like transgender women don't want to have to use the men's room, and then a lot of other women don't want those transgender people in their bathroom because they're biologically men. So what it comes down to is no one in America wants to use the bathroom with men. Like, as divisive as the issue is, everyone agrees that men's bodies are scary and disgusting. And it's true, men's bodies are way more disgusting than women's bodies. Like, if you don't believe that, just look at like the sexy outfits people wear. Like, the sexiest thing a woman can wear is lingerie, which is basically nothing at all. Sexiest thing a man can wear is a three-piece suit. Just layers and layers of material covering every inch of his horrible body. Then just to be safe, it's tied around his neck to make sure it doesn't fall off. That's why women are all into that 50 Shades of Grey fetish, because when they do get a man naked, they're like, oh, you know what'd be hot now is if you blindfolded me. The only thing that turned me on more than seeing you naked is being completely unable to see you naked. I know some of the crowd might be getting uncomfortable now because I made a joke about trans people, and I'm uncomfortable because you don't like Republicans. So now we all understand Caitlyn Jenner's struggle. Because Caitlyn Jenner voted for Trump. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Like, he said too many stupid things on the campaign trail. Like he said he wanted to ban Muslims from the United States, which is a stupid idea. But the Muslim response is kind of stupid too. They're like, how dare he ban someone because of their religion? Then they all turn and pray towards the only city on earth that bans people because of their religion. See, some of the crowd gets uncomfortable once you make fun of Islam. Like, comedians can make fun of any other religion for any reason at all. You can call Christian conservatives hypocrites, you can call Catholic priests pedophiles, you can make fun of Jewish stereotypes, you can make fun of Mormons for being polygamists and wearing magic underwear, you can make fun of Scientologists for believing that aliens are real, you can make fun of Scientologists for believing that ghosts are real, you can make fun of Scientologists for believing that demons are real, make fun of Scientologists for believing that John Travolta's marriage is real. Islam shouldn't be any different. You should be allowed to make fun of it. Like, this is a real tweet that ISIS sent out. They said they're going to take over Rome and throw homosexuals off of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Which means in one tweet, they did the two most horrible things you can do on the internet. They bullied gay people, and they made a grammar mistake. But some people on the left are so afraid to criticize Islam directly that even after all these terror attacks and hate crimes, like, they still try to equivocate. They're like, oh, all religions are just as bad. Other groups commit hate crimes too. The problem is, most of those hate crimes you heard about in the news turned out to be hoaxes. Like, right before the election, there was a black guy in Mississippi who said Trump supporters burned down his church, but then it turned out he did it himself. Before that, there was a gay YouTube activist who said he got beat up by homophobes, but it turned out he did it himself. Before that, there was a Muslim in Louisiana who said someone ripped her hijab, but it turned out she did it herself. Before that, there was a gay guy in Utah who said someone beat him up, lit his house on fire, and carved a slur in his arm. Turned out he did it all himself. Like, hate crime investigations in this country are starting to play out like Scooby-Doo mysteries. Like, it always starts off with some bizarre story that's kind of scary but doesn't really make any sense. Then a bunch of people fall for it and try to get to the bottom of it. In the end, it turns out there was no crime, it was all fake, and the culprit is one of the three characters they introduced in the beginning. Like, it's so formulaic. Like, at the end of every Scooby-Doo episode, they pull off the white sheet, and instead of a ghost, it's like the man who runs the carnival. At the end of every hate crime investigation, they pull off the white sheet, and instead of the KKK, it's like the president of the Student Diversity Council. I know every now and then a hate crime turns out to be real. It's awful, but it happens, and we should acknowledge that. But the analogy still works, because after 30 years on the air, every now and then Scooby-Doo would find a real ghost. Like, the Eric Rudolph attack 20 years ago is like the Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island of hate crimes. I know this joke upset some people. You're angry that I would make this sort of comparison, because it ruins the ending of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. This is where the liberals in the crowd start to turn on me. I'm sorry that for the first time in your life, a comedian's not on your side. No, but all those stories, they all made it onto, those hate crime stories, they all made it onto CNN. Like I used to like CNN. I think CNN was a reliable, factual news service. I liked them. And then Jeff Zucker took over. And that's when CNN became all about a narrative. Like, as soon as Jeff Zucker took over, the entire narrative became, don't worry, Hillary will become president and Donald Trump is just gonna go away. Just like when Jeff Zucker was in charge of NBC, their entire narrative was, don't worry, Conan's gonna get the Tonight Show and Jay Leno is just gonna go away. Jeff Zucker has spread fake news at every organization he's ever run. Like, if the media should learn anything from this election cycle, it's don't hire Jeff Zucker. But the problem is when the media says Trump lies, they're right. And when Trump says the media lies, he's right. But the media uses the fact that Trump lies sometimes to claim that Trump is lying all the time. And Trump uses the fact that the media lies sometimes to claim that the media is lying all the time. So there's just two rivers of bullshit flowing together and nobody knows what's real anymore. Like the whole Russia story. Like there are real facts and concerns within that Russia story, but by the time it makes it to CNN, it's just turned into erotic liberal fan fiction. It's like Paul Manafort stood in the corner as Donald Trump Jr. slowly caressed the beautiful Russian lawyer. Swept away by passion, the two of them proceeded to collude for hours until they had both reached treason. It is hard being Republican in Los Angeles though, but it has some advantages. I never have to go through my Facebook friends list and clean it out. I can just post something about being Republican and then my friends list cleans itself. Somebody will call me a bigot or something. That's the big thing, is just calling everybody bigots. The word bigot gets thrown around way too much these days. There's even this stereotype that NASCAR fans are all rednecks and bigots. Which I don't really think is fair, because I don't think NASCAR fans can help it. I mean, people who are into the cello are cellists, and people who are into gymnastics are gymnasts. So naturally, people who are into racing are racists, if anyone's still working. Democrats love to call Republicans racist, though, but then Democrats get caught saying some of those racist things themselves. It happened to Hillary a few times this campaign. Back when Obama was president, it happened to Harry Reid. Harry Reid, a Democrat, he said the reason Obama got elected is because he doesn't speak in a Negro dialect, which is just offensive and confusing and crazy. Every black person I know is perfectly intelligent, speaks perfectly fine. As far as I can tell, the Negro dialect is just plain old regular English. Spoken loudly during a movie. It's a stereotype, but it's true. I went to see Get Out 3 times and I still haven't heard all the dialogue. Dating is hard in LA. I went on a date with this girl and things were going really well until she found out I believe homosexual behavior is a sin, at which point she left and never wanted to speak to me again. Which really makes her more intolerant than me. Because even though I think homosexual behavior is a sin, I would never stop dating a guy just because he disagreed. And like a lot of Christians, my attitude towards homosexuals is to love the sinner but hate the sin. And if anyone thinks it's impossible to love the sinner but hate the sin, I would point out that many people still love Ben Affleck even though he's making this Justice League movie. Then people will be like, oh, if you believe that, how can you work for the Ellen DeGeneres show? How can you... Because I don't mind working with or being friends with people with different points of view and different political opinions and different lifestyles. That's how America's supposed to work. The thing I don't... No, it's true. The thing I don't like is people say things like, oh, if you don't support gay marriage, it means you hate gay people. If you don't support this issue, it means you hate them. That's the attitude that tore this country apart, that made everything so toxic. Because it's not true. It is totally possible to disagree with someone on a political or moral issue, but still love them as a person. If you don't believe that, just take a different issue, for example, something less controversial, like pornography. Personally, I believe pornography is immoral and disgusting, but I still love the girls who make it. For those of you who don't agree, thank you for putting up with my conservative comedy tonight. Don't worry, the rest of the show will be all the same original, edgy, groundbreaking material that you hear everywhere else. And I never mind listening to people from the other side. In fact, the first political speech I ever went to was to see Al Gore when I was 17 years old. So don't judge me, because if your introduction to politics was listening to Al Gore drone on for an hour, you would be just as Republican as I am. I grew up in Pennsylvania. It's a pretty conservative place. They're like Democrats, but they're like socially conservative. But I grew up in Pennsylvania. I went to Penn State University, and so did most of my family. So for a long time, all of my Facebook profile pictures were like me in a Penn State T-shirt or me next to a Penn State logo. And then the whole Jerry Sandusky scandal happened. And I decided I better change my profile picture, and this is absolutely true. At the time, I decided to change it to a picture I had taken with Elmo and the guy who did his voice, Kevin Clash. And then he got arrested for the same thing as Jerry Sandusky. I realized everything I photograph magically turns into a child molester. So maybe that girl who didn't want a selfie dodged a bullet. I do like living in California though now. Like, I like Los Angeles a lot. The only thing that still scares me is the earthquakes, because I didn't grow up with those and I have no idea what you're supposed to do during an earthquake. Because ever since moving to the West Coast, I've only ever heard two pieces of advice. The first thing I've been told is that you're supposed to stand in a doorway. Second thing I've been told is, no, that's not true, you're not supposed to stand in a doorway. And that's all anyone will tell you. No one has any idea what you're actually supposed to do during an earthquake. Then someone tried to tell me you're supposed to lay on the ground. I was like, the ground is what's trying to kill you. There's a lot of pressure in LA to adopt dogs. Besides the political pressure, everyone tries to get you to rescue a dog all the time. Which I know is a good thing to do, but I was worried that if I went to the shelter, I wouldn't get to pick what breed I wanted. Then I went to the shelter, and it turns out there's lots of breeds that you can pick from. You can get like a husky pit bull mix, or a golden retriever pit bull mix, or a chihuahua pit bull mix. If you're not a dog person, they have kittens and parakeets that are pit bull mix. Not that there's anything wrong with pit bulls. Like, my neighbor has one, it's become like part of his family. Like, he has one of those little stick figure families on the back of his car, and he added a little pit bull, and then 2 days later he scraped off the baby. Now, some people try to defend pit bulls. They're the sweetest dog in the world. They just have a bad reputation. But then every time I turn on the TV, a pit bull is doing something horrible. It's always like pit bull attacks jogger, or pit bull bites child, or pit bull's collaborating with R. Kelly. Nothing insults liberals more than saying that pit bulls are bad dogs. I love to defend them. I've done stand-up for more conservative crowds before. I watched the show in Anchorage, Alaska, which is like a beautiful city, but they're like way more conservative than most big cities. Like, most big cities have gay neighborhoods. Like, here in LA we have West Hollywood, in New York they have an area called Chelsea, Chicago has Boys Town, San Francisco has San Francisco. But Anchorage isn't like that. Like, the gay area of Anchorage is just called Steve's house. Steve is saving up to move to San Francisco. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Bring back out here. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show.
One more time, Adam Yenser. Give it